Good afternoon. Happy Valentine's Day. I spent the morning sort of celebrating Valentine's Day with Holly, so I've been delayed. But it put me in a better frame of mind than perhaps any of us were yesterday after the impeachment so-called trial ended. I have a phrase I often use when I'm giving lectures about justice, and it is that justice is a coincidence of the system, not a consequence of it. And what I mean by that is that you have to fight in an individual case to get justice. It's not guaranteed by the system, and I'm usually talking about the courts. But the Senate is a special example of how that's true, in the sense that this so-called jury was corrupt from the beginning. It included witnesses, fact witnesses, victims who'd actually experienced the very assault that they were studying and going to render judgment on. But worse is that we had at least 7 senators who continued even after the riot to press objections that were not based in fact or law, to throw out the electoral vote that was a pro forma vote that designated Biden as the president-elect. That's pretty serious stuff. Now, you could say that somehow or other they put that behind them, except for the fact that Cruz and Lindsey Graham and Lee, all senators, combined with the Trump defense to advise them how to try the case. And this they did after taking a vote to be impartial, an oath rather to be impartial. And on top of that, when they were sworn in to become a member of the Senate, they took an oath to preserve and protect our Constitution. So we had a flawed body. But let's go further. There are senators, as signified by the vote, who did believe that their oath of office and their oath to be impartial meant something. And so at the end of the day, we had senators who voted to convict Trump. Now, I am not one of these to say that we lost but we won, in the sense that the rules of the game provide how one wins or loses. And you had to get 67 votes to win, and we did not. So we lost. He was acquitted. But the asterisk that we attach to it is that the nation has the enemy within in the Congress and the Senate. And that they are not just intimidated by Trump. They are of one mind with Trump. And they would propose to be leaders in the House and the Senate and or candidates for the presidency. And that's why some of them are doing it, but some of them realize that the agenda of items they endorse are not supported by the public generally. And so they have found over the years a way to suppress those voters who do not support them. This is a bridge behind me which leaves from Maryland over to Virginia. We're on the Maryland side, and you can see around me, and we're about to go into a pass that's surrounded by trees. So what we have here is we have a situation in which the enemy within, at every turn and every vote, can contradict our allegiance to a democratic government in contravention of a government of autocrats, which is what they prefer. So that's what we're dealing with. And the way we have to deal with that is we have to speak truth to power. And we have to speak truth to power as the House managers did during this trial. Now, I appeared on ARI yesterday, and others have been talking about this as well. And yes, I do have serious reservations about how you hold a trial without witnesses. Those are trains, because we're near the train tracks here. How you deal with those who defend by deception and disinformation every wrong that they do? And the answer is we have to continue to talk truth to power, because we do start with the fact that there are more of us. So what is the silver lining of this cloud of deceit of people who would try to destruct our democracy so they can have an autocracy, because that's the only way they could rule? Well, consider the fact that we, A, did win the election, that we, B, won the Georgia Senate race, so that, C, we do have control just by the margins in the Senate, and that we do have control in the House. And because our margin is modest, we have to plan very carefully how we go forward. Now, let me roll back a little bit. The reason I thought we should call witnesses was, first of all, I didn't say at first, I didn't make the motion on the Senate floor. It was the managers. And they stayed up all night and decided that they should have witnesses. And they had one very good witness that they thought especially had to be heard, in view of the fact that the Republicans were saying, well, you know, what makes you think Trump wasn't caring about what they were doing? Watching TV all afternoon. Anybody else probably would have had a beer in hand. I would have preferred a rum and coke. But I don't know how anyone could watch the TV, feel responsible, and not act upon that. But Trump did not. And the night before the argument yesterday, Saturday, there was a statement that Trump shunned and rebuffed, and he helped to the Hill and kind of questioned the loyalty of the House Minority Leader, McCarthy, saying, well, I guess they care more about the election than you do. I'm paraphrasing. So they did want at least one witness. And my experience as a trial lawyer is pretty similar to the notion of speaking out publicly. If you have something worth saying, you have an obligation to say it because you give voice to others. And the same is true of a witness who speaks publicly. They bear witness to something that another person is thinking, but maybe doesn't have the courage to come out loud and say it until they hear that person. And Congresswoman Butler said as much, and so did several senators. And I said it, of course, and I think any trial lawyer says it, and anybody who's been involved in any amount of public life. So if they were going to call a witness, they should have gone forward, and I feel that they were pushed back. And everybody's saying, well, what we're concerned about is the reconciliation bill. Well, let me tell you, having worked on the Hill in the House and the Senate, that bill is being written by staff, and I know because one staffer called me up and asked what was happening, because this person was working night and day on the reconciliation bill. So what are the senators doing? They went home for the week. They went home for the week. We could have tried the case that week, right? Or they could have worked on the reconciliation bill, but they're not doing either. They're gone. So that was a false argument. And I can't see it any other way but weakness. And I think if I were among the House managers, I'd say, yes, we did think we wanted the witness, and Schumer didn't want it. And we're team players, and he knows what the House needs, and so we revised our position. I'd still say they were wrong. They were wrong whether they said that or not. And I think it's a mistake that they're defending it. They should just defending it in the sense of saying, oh yeah, we got what we wanted. No, you didn't get what you wanted, because what you wanted was a witness to give voice. And when the value of a witness is judging their demeanor, their forthrightness, their credibility, their character, their sincerity, whether they could see what they say happened, whether they have any record to corroborate that it happened as they said. And that is the value of a witness, not some statement in a newspaper, hearsay. You could argue that this is one of the best PowerPoint presentations in the history of the Republic. But you also have to deal with the question of why it mattered to have witnesses at the first trial, and we didn't get it. And at this trial, we asked for it, and then we didn't care if we got it. Either it mattered or it didn't, and I believe it mattered. So I'm out here, and I do have a cathedral of trees around me, and I'm not that far from the Potomac, and it's a little sloshy, but the temperature is a blistering 36 degrees, so it's pretty comfortable. So it was nice talking to you. Be well. Hug your loved ones. Treat yourself nice. Don't go into restaurants because we don't want you to get a Valentine's Day sickness. And Holly and I, we had veggie burgers in a parking lot. So make up your own day. All the best. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.